It is what is fed into your mind that controls your feeling. I've taught you that, right? In Wisdom for Living. Feelings control, information controls feeling. I even gave you an illustration. A man that is, full of lust, that cannot do without a woman, picks a woman and says, if I don't sleep with you, I will die. And the woman follows him. And you can tell that he is totally filled with lust. And he is really determined to sleep with this woman. Nothing can stop him. Then he discovers that she has full-blown AIDS. And when they get into the room, as she removes her body, blood is dripping everywhere. What happens to his desire? Why will he die now? Didn't he say if he doesn't sleep, he will die? What killed the desire? A new set of facts reprogrammed his feelings. Am I communicating at all? So when a man is saying, I'm not feeling like a man, it is what they told you. When we tell you something else, if you pay attention, it will change all that nonsense. That's why I told you, gay is identity crisis. Whether homo or less. There's homo, there's less. Whichever is identity crisis. It's identity crisis. That's why if you focus people that have problem with feelings and gayism on Christ, as they focus on Christ, there will be a change of information that will bring a change of feeling. That's why we all with open face, as we behold the glory of God in a mirror, the facts of Christ renews our minds and changes the way we feel. The realities of Christ changes our desires, it changes our appetites. The more we focus, the more we concentrate, the more we meditate, the more we are fed Christ. When you are so fed Christ, bondage and Satan will not have space in your life. I'm teaching good. So if you want to reproduce yourself, you will need a relationship. You will need respect. You will need honor. You will have to walk in love and forgiveness. You will need to tolerate. That's the only way to reproduce yourself. Because if you're married and you cannot tolerate, the marriage will not survive. If you're married and you cannot love, you cannot respect, you cannot honor, the marriage will not survive. If you're married and you cannot forgive and you cannot overlook things, the marriage will not survive. So if you want a long-lasting relationship and the benefits that come from relationship, then you must of necessity employ love, respect, submission, forgiveness, tolerance, and walking in love. Which means God is big on relationships. God is big on relationships. He puts what you need in someone else. Even when God became a man, he didn't come complete. He didn't come complete. He came to the earth as a real man. So you will always need relationships. The fact that you came to this earth through someone means that your life will be tied to relationships. Your life will be tied to relationships. That's why you were born into a home through somebody, through a father, through a mother. Nobody came to the earth in the absence of a father and a mother. The fact that you don't know them does not mean that they were not instrumental in bringing you. Whether you saw them or not, there's a father somewhere and there's a mother somewhere that decided to bring you to the earth. Whether consciously or unconsciously. So God and man will always work together. That is why there's no such thing as, a self-made man. No such thing as a self-made man. Every man's making is a function of contributions. A lot of human contributions come together to form a man. There's no self-made man. And when people say, well, don't be original. Be original. How can you be original when even from your conception, there's no originality? The sperm came from somebody with genes. The eggs came from another person. From the conception, you can't be original. And as you began to grow, everybody around you contributed to forming your mindset. forming your development. You didn't make decisions by yourself. Influences determined your decisions and choices. How can you be original? How can you say, I can never allow anybody determine how I will function? Even that statement is somebody that put it in your mouth. Man is a product of influence. The only thing is, be careful who influences you. Be careful who influences you. And you will be influenced by the things you see, by the things you hear, and by the things you see. You'll be influenced by the things you see, by the things you hear, and by the things you say. Teaching good this morning? In Luke chapter 2 verse 46, Luke chapter 2 verse number 46.
And it came to pass that after 3 days they found him in the temple, sitting in the midst of the doctors, both hearing them and asking them questions.
When I said even Jesus came to the earth as a real human being, I'm sure you will have been wondering, look at him now. He came as a real human being, not complete, like all of us are not complete. He also needed relationships. See him sitting down with the doctors of the law, hearing them, asking them questions, and they are teaching him, and he's sitting down to learn. So which means Jesus learned scriptures the way we are learning right now this morning. He sat down in a service, somebody taught him, and he asked questions. Just like when I teach, I ask you to ask questions. He was asking questions and he was learning scripture. When you see Jesus asking questions, you will think he is not God. Because he was 100% a man as though not God, and 100% God as though not man. In Luke chapter 2 verse 40, Luke chapter 2 verse number 40.
And the child grew and waxed strong in spirit, filled with wisdom, and the grace of God was upon him.
The child grew, so Jesus grew. Luke chapter 2 verse 52. Luke chapter 2 verse 52.
And Jesus increased in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man.
And Jesus increased. The way you're growing was the way Jesus grew. In Mark chapter 6 verse 3, he has neighbors and family who didn't believe in him. They say, is this not the carpenter's son? The son of Mary, the brother of James and Joseph and of Judah, and Simon, and are not his sisters here with us? And they were offended at him. So if you miss man, you miss God. Many things people pray for, the answers are in relationships. Let me repeat again. Many things people pray for, the answers are in relationships. Man is God's method, and Jesus showed it in his humanity. You know, the scriptures came in that form. The scriptures are written 100% God and 100% man. The inspiration is of God, the documentation is of man. So God inspired, man documented. So it's both God and man together that gave us the scriptures. God uses human vessels. And in using human vessels, he uses their culture, he uses their language, and he uses the context of their world. God uses human culture, he uses human language, and he uses the context of their world, their worldview. That's why when you study the Bible, you are studying a worldview, you are studying a particular language, and you are studying a particular context. That's why when you do not apply the rule of sound Bible teaching, you will interpret the Bible in today's culture and context and language and go into the bush. And then when somebody that is sound comes to reinterpret that same place you taught, it will look like you're contradicting the Bible. You must sit where they sat to hear what they had in their worldview, in their language, and in the context of their communication. That's how the Bible is studied and learned. So God uses human language and culture to communicate his own plans. Human language, human culture, human context to communicate his plan and his purpose. So if you miss God, if you miss man, you miss God.